Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Hannah and today I'm going to be sharing with you a list of books, a list of self-help books, but maybe not the self-help books you're imagining. So let me explain myself. I was thinking about self-help books that you see all over that often get suggested around this time of year that are meant to inspire and motivate you to improve yourself and become the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. Those books can be very motivating and very inspirational, but for me personally, I feel like sometimes I just need a good story, I need a narrative, I need a character that I can connect with, and I need to see their journey in order to feel inspired to change myself. So here are some fictional books that have inspired me more than self-help books. I hope you enjoy. The first books that I want to recommend here for this is actually a series of 2 books. If you've seen any of my videos in the last year, you can probably guess which 2 books I'm about to mention. But if you're new here, these 2 books are A Psalm for the Wild Built and its sequel, A Prayer for the Crowned Shy. These 2 books are a part of the Monk and the Robot duology by Becky Chambers. And I think you should read these books if you feel lost. If you feel like you don't know where you're going with your life, these are the books that I think you should read. And that's not just me saying that. The author literally wrote these books for that purpose. You can see, I'm not lying. She literally dedicated these books to anybody who doesn't know where they're going. Let me tell you a little bit about what these books are about. These books are about a tea monk in a futuristic, utopian society, and this tea monk feels like they need a change in their life, but they just don't know what to do. They don't know what kind of change they need. They just feel an itch that they need something new. And so they go off on this new journey to be a traveling tea monk, and they are traveling from town to town serving tea to people. And along this journey, they meet a wild robot who they befriend, and they are able to learn so much from this robot, and in turn the robot learns so much from the tea monk about human society and what we need as humans and what we strive for. It is just such a lovely, cozy, slow, and philosophical read. It will get you thinking about what you really need, what we really need as humans, and what you personally might need. It gets you thinking about some of those things, has you questioning things, but in a very calm and supportive way. And I just think it's lovely. I read these 2 books last spring, and at that time I was going through a lot in my life and I felt very unsure. I was kind of at a crossroads. I didn't know what to do with my life, and I was just really stressed out and I didn't know what to do, and I read these books and they gave me so much comfort and so much hope that things are going to work out. So I hope that if you read these books, you get the same comfort and hope out of them. The next book on my list is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I hope I'm saying that last name right. I think you should read this book if you know where you want to go, but you don't know how to get there. Or maybe you're on your journey to achieve this goal, but something's happened. You've hit a roadblock of some sort, and maybe you're feeling a little bit discouraged. I feel like this is a great book for anybody in any of those situations. And the reason why I think that is because this book is about a young man who is told he will find a great treasure at the pyramids in Egypt. So he travels from his home, his small Spanish town, across northern Africa to Egypt. While he's on this journey, he encounters many obstacles and setbacks. He meets a lot of people who help him along the way. He meets a few people that take advantage of him, and he just experiences a lot of things that he's able to learn from, so that by the time he gets to his final destination, this thing that he's been working towards, he can appreciate it fully because he has grown as a person along this journey. I read this at the beginning of last year, end of 2023, beginning of 2024. I read this and I loved it. This is actually what inspired this video, because I read this book and then right afterwards I read the self-help book called You Are a Badass. And they both have similar themes of, if you have something you're working towards, you feel like you have this purpose that you are working towards, and you keep working towards that. Even if you encounter roadblocks, you keep working towards that goal, that purpose that you have in mind. If you keep working towards that, the universe will support you and will encourage you along that path so that you can get where you need to go. Both of these books have, talk about these similar themes, but I felt like I connected with this one more because, again, like I mentioned in the introduction, sometimes I just need a story. I need to see a real, or not even a real, I just need to hear of a person who is struggling and then see what they do to overcome those struggles and to achieve what they set out to achieve. And I need to see that journey. I need to see that process so that I feel like I can go through it myself. And so I personally just connected with this more than You Are a Badass, even though they cover similar themes. The next book on this list is The Little Prince. This book, I think you should read this book if you've pushed yourself a little too hard to the point where maybe now you're a little bit burnt out and you just need a little bit of a break. You're still gonna work towards your goals, but maybe just at a little bit of a slower pace from now on. If you feel like you're in that situation, I think you should read this book because this book is about a little prince from outer space, from a planet out in outer space, and he travels from planet to planet and he makes his way here to Earth, and he's telling his story to someone here and all the things that he's learned from traveling from planet to planet. The general theme of these experiences that the little prince has is that we need to appreciate the journey that we're on. We need to slow down, and sometimes the way we're going about things is a little bit overcomplicated, that we have pushed ourselves to the point where we're no longer focusing on the right thing. We've lost track of where we're going without even realizing it. And so sometimes we need to take a step back. We need to slow down. We need to stop and smell the roses and appreciate where we are so that we can continue to move forward. So that is why I would recommend it to anybody who might be on the verge of burnout and just needs a reminder to slow down. The next book is The Wild Robot. I would recommend this to anybody who finds themselves in a new place or a new situation. You're trying to figure out how you fit into this new environment while still staying true to who you are. This book is about a robot that crash lands onto this small wild island, and they have to adapt to this wild environment that they find themselves in. They learn to speak with the animals, they befriend the animals, they become a part of this animal wild community. This robot is still true to herself in that her purpose is to help. Her purpose is to help others. Yes, she may have been built to help humans, but she's in an environment without humans. And so she is still trying to find a way to fulfill this programming that she has been built with in this environment that is a little bit different than the environment she was built to inhabit. So this book is great. I recently read this because I'd heard so much about the movie that was released a few months ago. So if you're more of a movie person, maybe go check out the movie, but just know that the book is also really amazing. And so if you feel like you need some encouragement or just some moral support as you're entering this new situation, this new environment, I think you'll really relate to Roz, the robot character in this book. Next is The Goose Girl. This book, you should read this book. If you are quiet, maybe some people think you're shy, you just are a little bit more reserved. And you need a reminder that being quiet or being more reserved doesn't mean you're weak. This book is about a princess who is perceived as being very shy, very quiet. She has to go on this journey to another land, and along the way she is betrayed by her entourage, and she has to find a way to protect herself even though the people that are supposed to be protecting her aren't doing their jobs. And so she has to stick up for herself. She has to learn to take care of herself for the first time in her life as a princess, and she has to find her own way into this new land, make a home for herself. In that journey, she finds confidence, she finds power. It's very empowering to me. I first read this when I was in middle school, and I really just related to that main character. I have always been more introverted, more quiet, and sometimes I've felt out of place in the society and the culture that I live in, where it seems like to be really appreciated and praised, you need to be the loudest in the room. Part of the reason she's sent away from her home to this new home to marry the prince of a neighboring kingdom is because her mother doesn't think she's fit to be queen of her home kingdom because she's more quiet. Her mother is a very outspoken, sometimes demanding and controlling queen, and so because our main character isn't the same way, she's sent away. But like I said, in that journey, in that experience, she finds her own confidence, she finds herself and her own power. And so that was really empowering to me as a young teenager, and continues to really encourage me and give me confidence that just because I'm more reserved and more quiet doesn't mean that I'm weak. All right, the last book on my list of fictional books that are more inspiring to me than self-help books are is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. I think you should read this book if you feel different from everybody else around you and you need a reminder that being different doesn't mean you have to go it alone. This book surprised me. I read this a couple years ago for a Halloween readathon, and I wasn't expecting to relate to it as much as I did. I wasn't expecting it to stay with me this long, and it truly inspired me. The main character in this book is a witch. As a witch in this world, she has been taught her entire life that because she's a witch, she has to distance herself from everybody else. Everybody else. She can't have friends. She can't have romantic partners. She has to distance herself from everybody because nobody will accept her for being a witch. And yet, this book is all about her finding community, about finding friends, about finding a family, and learning to open up to other people. And that just because she was taught one thing, just because she was taught that she has to separate herself and isolate herself from everybody, doesn't mean that that's true. The woman that taught her this had good intentions, thought that that was the best way for Mika witch to protect herself, but in the process it was actually hurting her. I feel like this is just it really taught me that having community, having people, reaching out to people even when I feel different, reaching out to people that I can trust, that I feel comfortable with, is good for me. And also, just because I was taught things as a kid doesn't mean that all of those things I was taught and all of those things I was told by parents or other authority figures doesn't mean that those things are true. That I need to question those things for myself and find what is true for me, so I can be true to myself and what feels right for me. So that's what I learned from this book and why I find it so inspiring. All right, we made it to the end of the list. These are some books. These are some fictional self-help books that have helped me. I hope you are inspired to pick up one or more of these books. And I hope more than anything that if you do read them, that you are inspired by them. I would love to hear if you have any fictional stories that have inspired you, that have motivated you. Please leave a comment down below telling me what novels or short stories or whatever fictional stories have impacted you the most. I'd love to hear. I'd love to know what you learned from those books if you're willing to share. With that said, thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for listening to me ramble about books, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.